G'day cocktail lovers, I'm in a celebratory mood. It's a Friday night as I make this video and I got some deliveries today from local distillery Starward, a whiskey distillery, and two quite different releases of theirs. This is a very limited one, it's their Muscat Barrel Whiskey. It's a single malt, it's 48% ABV, aged 4 years in muscat barrels. That's a fortified wine. And this one they call Honeycomb, which they did in conjunction with a bar in the city called Her. And it's basically honey infused into their standard grain whiskey twofold. And it's just, okay, I don't know if you saw the video where I had the peanut butter whiskey, which was terrible and did not taste like whiskey, just tasted like cheap peanut brittle. This is incredible. The honey that's gone into this has completely taken over. So it doesn't really taste like whiskey, but in a good way. This, on the other hand, is a very deep, earthy whiskey. It's got notes of, well, to me it's golden syrup. I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but it's almost like a burnt caramel and raisins, and you're getting a lot of oak from the wood. This is a really sophisticated one. This is a really fun one, and I've been playing around with them, well, tasting them, and looking at some recipes, and I've come up with a couple of recipes that I want to use to showcase these. And it turns out they're both essentially Boulevardier recipes. I was looking through my Death & Co cocktail book for inspiration, and the two that leapt out at me both turned out to be Boulevardier Riffs, essentially, although one was a gin-based drink, and I looked at it and went, that, but with whiskey. And the other one is a more noticeable Boulevardier Riff. They said to use Rittenhouse Rye 100 proof and Stag Bourbon. So I'm going to do a split. This in place of the Rittenhouse, because this is a lot more robust, and this in place of the bourbon. And the cocktail is called A Cure for Pain. In the mixing glass, I put 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of Starward's Muscat whiskey, and then half an ounce or 15 mils of Starward's Honeycomb whiskey. Then I've gone with half an ounce or 15 mils of port, and half an ounce or 15 mils of sweet vermouth. To round things out, I'm doing a bar spoon of a bitter red aperitivo like Campari, and a bar spoon of white creme de cacao. Add ice to the glass, stir that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink, and then strain it into a rocks glass over a big chunk of ice. For garnish, I'm just using a twist of orange. So here's the first of our Starward inspired Boulevardier Riffs, my version of A Cure for Pain, and oh yeah, I love all the little elements in this. Anyone who knows me knows I can't really handle Campari. It's too bitter, so a standard Boulevardier is much too bitter for me. Not only is there less of the aperitivo in this, but I used this Australian one from St. Felix, their bitter citrus aperitivo. There's still bitterness in there, just not as full on as Campari. Maybe a bit more than Aperol, but all those little elements backing up really good whiskies. I really like this one. This is the second of my Boulevardier Riffs. This was actually inspired by a gin-based drink in the Death & Co cocktail book. They called it Grand Street. I thought, well, I'm going to replace the gin with the whiskey, in this case the Starward Muscat Barrel. So I'll name it after the street where the Starward distillery is. So I christened this a Bertie Street, and taste-wise, it has really rich flavours. It has that bitter edge. Not as bitter as a Boulevardier would be with Campari in it, but it's got a lot of character. Here's how I made it. First, muddle some grapefruit peel in the base of a mixing glass. Then add 2 ounces or 60 mils of your whiskey, 3/4 of an ounce, around 22.5 mils of punt, and then 1/4 of an ounce or around 7.5 mils of averna amaro. Rounding things out a little with just a bar spoon of maraschino liqueur. Add ice to the glass, stir that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink, and then strain that into a rocks glass over a chunk of ice with no garnish. I feel like I've had a successful exploration of my new whiskies, and honestly, off camera, I'm probably going to do a bit more exploring. I'm going to try them in an old-fashioned and, just have a good time. So I hope you're having a good time wherever you are, and I hope you have some fun distilleries you can go to somewhere in your general area, because craft distilleries around the world are just doing amazing stuff, and it's really worth checking out. And I hope you found this worth checking out, and I hope to see you again soon. Until then, I will say cheers.